I really am happy to be here with you today, and grateful for the opportunity to come and talk and share a little bit of my experience. And you know, that quote from me, that's for our company. You know, what I really care about is trying to be younger every day and trying to enjoy life. So just a little bit of background about my experience before I talk at all about AtTask. I am a graduate of BYU, and I'm using this new application here called Prezi, a little advertisement for them. And I'm going to see if I can get this to go full screen. Okay, so I'm a graduate from BYU, and graduated with a degree in Near Eastern Studies with a minor in business. And you may be asking, why Near Eastern Studies and what does that have to do with technology? I'll probably get to that. In fact, Steve Jobs, been in the news a lot lately. I don't know if any of you have had an opportunity to listen to his 2005 address to the students at Stanford. If you haven't, I'd make a note of that. Go listen to it. It's really good. But one of the things that he says in that address is, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life. You know, we don't do the karma thing, but whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart even when it leads you off the well-worn path, and that will make all the difference. And I really, truly believe that. Everybody in this room is unique. Everybody in this room at some point in your life is going to have a unique set of skills and talents that uniquely qualifies you to do something awesome. And it's tough to see that looking forward, but it's really easy to see it looking backward. So a little bit about my history at BYU. I got a letter from President Lee when I was at school asking me to leave this school because I had over 220 credits. And they were in all kinds of different subjects from, I mean, you name it. I've probably had a class in it. And I was one of those distracted students. So I finished up with my degree in Near Eastern Studies, had a business minor, and got on with life from school. Right out of school, you know, through school, I always had a couple of jobs and did some work in graphic design and was involved with that and thought, you know, what I'd really like to do is go start a digital video company. And I realized that I was going to end up being a wedding video guy. And I did not want to be a wedding video guy, and I didn't want to have my career sort of follow that path at all. So I actually sold that company to another company. And I got into marketing and technology. It was a software company, and that was back at the time that the internet was just really, really new. And this company didn't have a website. None of the programmers knew anything about it. So I thought that as VP of marketing of this software company, I will go figure out the web and figure out how to have a website and learn how to program and learn a few other little things. And I actually was involved in, I brought the first T1 line into Orem for this company and set up an ISP. I don't know if you guys ever remember, you know, you had to dial in with your phone and get connected to the internet. I set up a service for our employees, and it was the first one in Orem. So really, really dug technology and kind of followed that path ever since. So a little ways down the road, I realized that my boss was kind of a crook, actually, and I realized that I could go and work hard for myself, and I didn't have to work hard for somebody else, and could probably do just as bad for myself as I did for him. So started a company called collegedays.com, which was not a success. It was in 1994. And it was a social network for college students to do things like book swaps and ride boards and get daily deals from local businesses. And, you know, it's going to be this really hip, sort of student-friendly web property. And we didn't have enough money to make it go. And it just, you know, the students didn't get it, businesses didn't get it. And Nobody really got it, and so we failed at that. But we realized that in chasing all these local businesses that it was really easy to sell websites. So I created a company called Gravity Media, which was a marketing and advertising company focused on web solutions. And at Gravity Media, we serviced a lot of businesses and actually had a great time doing that. Did that for several years. And that company started to grow. We ended up having, we had customers around the country, and Novell was one of our customers. Glaxo Wellcome, a big pharmaceutical, was one of our customers. We had a lot of small venture-backed startup companies as our customers. They were trying to develop their brand and understand how to get on the web and make a presence, and we helped all those companies. And as we grew to about 25 people, I had some questions about our business that were really tough to answer. The questions were, who's doing what? How much does it cost us to do this work? Is there a part of our work we do which is we always lose money on because it always takes longer than we think it would? Is there a part of our business that the work is really profitable and we should do more of it? How much more can we do? Where do we stand on all the projects that we're working on? How do we keep our customers in a feedback loop where we can capture all of their comments and approvals and not always be running into problems where people said, I sent you the latest document in an email. Why haven't you seen it? No, you didn't say that. Yeah, we did. No, we sent it in an email. I never got that email. I mean, you run into these problems, and I wanted to be able to answer all those questions for our business, and I couldn't. And I looked around at what software there was in the market, and I really couldn't find anything that was interesting at all. So I started writing some software to answer those questions for Gravity Media. And it was a nights and weekends project for me, so I did my day job in the day and came home at night and weekends and worked on this software. And at the time, I had no idea what it would be called or what the discipline was, but I knew the questions that needed to be answered. Well, that's what ended up becoming AtTask. So as I rolled that out, or as we rolled it out at Gravity to some of our customers, they said, hey, this is pretty cool software. Where can we buy it? And to me, in a services business like Gravity, you're billing for hours, and there's only so many hours in the day. And the funny thing about services is the better you get at what you do, sometimes the less money you make, because there's like a threshold of what people will pay per hour, and you always want to go and charge fixed rate, but people always want to boil contracts down into hourly fees, and so you get really proficient at what you do, and people just don't like to pay $500 an hour. So it's tough, and again, it really wasn't the future that I wanted. So I actually took AtTask, and I traded out my equity in the agency that I started, which was doing pretty well at the time. It was about 25 employees, and revenue was about $3 million a year. And I traded out my equity in the agency for the IP of AtTask, and went and started AtTask. And a couple of things, here at the center, some of the recent teaching is about how do you validate your business before you go whole hog and make a business. How do you iterate? How do you get early customers? And at AtTask, it was kind of an accident. And looking before that, Gravity Media was kind of an accident. And college days, we actually tried to do that with college days. And the funny thing is we had beginner's luck on our side. When we went out to validate that and see if people would buy this stuff, my partner and we created a little brochure and went out to local businesses one night, and in about 2 hours, we sold about $3,000 worth of contracts. And we thought, this is going to be like printing money. That was the last $3,000 that business got in a long time. It became really tough after that. So we weren't very thorough in our validation, but the idea is that you partner with customers, you deliver a minimum viable product, you basically identify a problem, and decide what is the very minimum you can do to actually address that problem, and then go and get it into the market, get feedback, iterate on it, build on it, and then you have something that will be amazingly successful. So AtTask, this was an internal job, so the customer was me. I was happy with it. I liked it, but that didn't mean that it would work for everybody else. And so as we went out into the market, we had to do a lot of shuffling around, and I didn't take a paycheck for about 18 months, and I used a second mortgage and credit cards to pay for my first employees and to help get the business going. And at the time, that was really interesting because I had a wife and 3 kids at the time. I had obviously a mortgage, and so we really kind of, I call it an all-out bootstrap. I mean, we put everything on the line to make this go, and we did everything we could possibly do to earn a dollar, which again is breaking one of the rules. You know, what you really should do is have a vision and pursue that vision. What we had was some software, and we were willing to just do whatever we could to sell it, and had some really interesting stories. I remember one of our first customers, our real customers with AtTask, was a company called Sara Lee. It's now Hanes Brands. They're still a customer of AtTask. And these guys called, and I talked to them, and they had Microsoft out there for a week, and they had IBM out there consulting for a week, and they were trying to find, this project management, this solution to this problem they had in their manufacturing processes. And I told them, oh yeah, we can do that. Oh yeah, we can do that. Everything they said, I said, oh yeah, absolutely, we can do that. And they said, well, come on out and see us and show us. So I started writing software, wrote on the plane, wrote all night in the hotel room, got there the next day and showed them what we could do. And I actually left that afternoon with a contract that helped fund our company. Had a similar experience with another large company called Federated Department Stores, which was the next kickstart for AtTask. But really, we grew this thing organically, started to become a business probably 2003, end of 2003. And it was not until 2007 that we brought in some venture capital into the company, and that was mid-2007. So about that point, we had 22 employees at AtTask. We were becoming a leader in project management software, as exciting as that topic sounds to you all. And from there to today, we have about 230 employees today and have a worldwide presence. And so I've had a great experience, opportunity setting up entities. I've set up foreign entities for AtTask in Armenia, in China, Japan, in the UK. The software is used in 11 different languages now. We've got companies using our product in 60 different countries. We've got about 1,500 companies using our product right now. And it's been a real blessing for me to actually participate in making something that helps people make their work lives better. And some of what I hear every time I go and visit with a customer now is, oh, you've made our business better. And I've even had customers tell me that we have literally saved their business, which is very satisfying. So this space that we're in, project and portfolio management software, is a very competitive space. And at the time we got started, we just had a few small competitors: Microsoft, Hewlett-Packard, SAP, Oracle, Computer Associates. And there were some companies that were like us that were trying to be SaaS solutions, software as a service vendors. And at the time that we got started in 2001, one of the nearest SaaS competitors that we had already raised about $28 million and had over 100 employees. And we had 4, and we were funded on my credit card and second mortgage. And so it can be extremely daunting to sort of face that lineup and ask yourself, how can we possibly win? And that was something that always weighed on my mind. Oftentimes, especially when you're away from home, off somewhere in some weird part of the world, by yourself in a hotel room, wondering, what in the heck am I doing? And why me? Why am I here? Do we stand a chance of actually being successful with this? And what I've learned is that it's really all about execution in business. That you don't need to be intimidated that there is competition. In fact, our space is extremely competitive. There are probably 2,000 vendors trying to sell some iteration of what we've got. But I would be more concerned if there was no competition, because if there's a lot of competition, it means there's a lot of money too. And so if there's a lot of money and a lot of interest, you can always go and execute. So why can we, as a company, grow so much faster than the marketplace is? Well, if we just look at how big companies operate, the Microsofts, the HPs, the Computer Associates, in a lot of ways, I'd love to compete against those companies, because they don't have the ability to go and they don't have the ability to care about small problems. $30 million annual bookings or annual revenue for our company is great right now, and it's growing 45-50% a year. That's a rounding error for a Microsoft or a Hewlett-Packard. So why would they care about investing in solving a fringe problem that their company deals with? They don't. So that's one reason why I love to compete against larger companies. The other is there's just so much bureaucracy and so much inability to take risk that they can't innovate. Their features are kind of stacked up years in advance. It has to go through iterations with lawyers. It's got to go through iterations with other business units. There really isn't room for something wildly innovative. And that leaves room for entrepreneurs to come and solve problems that aren't being addressed by larger companies. I love the innovation process. Back on Apple, when the iPod came out, there were MP3 players already out in the market. And some of you may have had them. I don't know. It might have been before your time. I know that there were plenty of MP3 players. And if you actually went and talked to customers, they would have said something completely different about MP3 players. They wouldn't have said, oh yeah, no, what we need is this thing combined with iTunes to make our life easy. No, they wouldn't have said that. They would have said more storage, more features, cheaper price. That's what customers wanted. So what did Apple come out with? Something that was higher price, less features. It was exactly the opposite of what any customer would have said they wanted. But innovation really gets at the psychology of the customer. And when you talk about iterating and understanding the customer, it's not asking them what features they want. It's understanding the deep-rooted psychology of what problem you're solving. So what did Apple do with the iPod? Well, they realized that people spent way too much time combing through Napster and peer-to-peer sites and going into these seedy places to get their illegal downloads, because it was just too big of a pain to go to the music store and buy an album and rip it. They realized that paying $1 for a song is a lot easier than going and trying to find a quality version of it on Napster somewhere and trying to manage it yourself and get it on your MP3 player the way that you wanted. So the problem they solved was a convenience problem, and brought that to the market in the form of an MP3 player with software. And it changed an industry, and it changed the way that industry will work forevermore. We all have the ability to do that as we execute in business as well. It's all about understanding the deep-seated problem that the customer has and delivering on it. So I'm going to play a little short video clip here that I think tells it's a good anti-example of innovation here.
Okay, we're looking for stopping power. Yeah, I mean, and still get it by tomorrow.
I love where you've taken this. You guys nailed it.
Yeah, I think this is pretty spot on. Having said that, we're getting some additional details from upper management since the initial briefing we gave you. I think we have the opportunity to make this piece hit a little harder.
Yeah, harder.
The main message is still the stopping occasion, but we're also going to need to include personal safety cues, any appropriate right-of-way legal, and our partner logos.
And as far as red goes, we love it. But we got word from our creative standard group that the fire department kind of owns red, so we're going to have to lighten it up on the Pantone scale.
Lighten it up like pink?
Based on our female target market, I don't see a downside.
Well, what about our male secondary market?
Maybe we do pink signs in the female intersection zones and blue ones in the male ones.
And which intersections are the female ones?
I got it. Why don't you go with pink and blue until we get you an answer on that?
Brilliant.
Way to crack the code. I think we're done here.
See is bumping that logo up just a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
We just got word from the UN that we can't use their logo.
Then let's bump up the EPA logo.
Okay.
I think somewhere on there we need to show the stopping occasion.
It needs to be telegraphic.
Yeah, some people just don't read, you know?
It's great. Can we try a new line? I showed it to my daughter and she didn't really get it.
Yeah, circles feel very 90s to me. Can we try a different shape, too?
Can we try a softer headline, though?
And a web address, in case people want more info?
Maybe a burst that says new. If it doesn't make it too busy.
I keep imagining a line of cars stacked up at the intersection.
Yeah, I think we need a more complete call to action so people know exactly what to do after the pause.
I'd also like to see maybe some people smiling on it.
You know, to remind drivers that stopping isn't required, it's also fun.
You guys got all that? Wow! I'd have to say, I think you finally got it.
You guys did an amazing job of fitting all of our suggestions in on one sign.
Can you throw together a look of
Success for a selling meeting this afternoon?
And that's how it all comes together, guys. I mean, if I were at that intersection, I'd stop.
Me too.
I don't see how anyone couldn't. Let's get these things printed and out the door.
Guys, we're a little disappointed in how this thing is testing, so we've got some minor tweaks we're looking into.
Great. So who would like to compete with those three? I would. So there's this kind of syndrome. I call it smart guy in the room syndrome. Basically, there's always going to be somebody there who wants to show how much he or she knows by asking you to do X, Y, or Z because it's critical to the business. And they, the more complex and convoluted that request can be, the smarter that person seems to be in the meeting. And what it actually leads software vendors to do is to create terrible software, because they're out there saying, we need all of this functionality. It's got to do that. We could never buy your product if it doesn't do this, if it doesn't do that. And AtTask, we prided ourselves on listening to our customers from day one and really wanted to deliver a no-nonsense, common-sense way of understanding and organizing work and helping people collaborate on that. And we got pulled into having to sell complicated, lots of features, very configurable, very flexible. I mean, a lot of those things are good, and we can answer tons and tons of business questions with our software. But the people who drive software design are the people with the money. They're the ones signing for contracts, and oftentimes they're like these three in this room saying, yeah, but it doesn't have this. Can it do that? Can it do this? And they never, ever, ever understand what their people actually want. And so then they buy software and they send it out to the company. Well, the SaaS software industry is changing that and has to change it, because old school was you bought software, you paid for it, and then, if you put it on the shelf, it was shelfware. Nobody cared if you used it. It didn't matter. Companies spent millions of dollars every year on software that never even got installed or never even got used if it did get installed. SaaS companies make it their business to have contracts that are structured in such a way as that you pay for usage or pay every single year or pay every month. And if you don't like it, you're not going to renew. If you're not getting value out of it, you're not going to renew. And so that has opened up a real kind of a contentious point in enterprise software circles, because SaaS vendors recognize that people have to use what's being sold. People have to understand it. They have to be able to gravitate to it. It's got to be simple. It's got to make sense. And so the vendor really needs to pay close attention to that user's need. And then you've got the buyers who are saying, yeah, but it's got to do this, it's got to do that, and they don't understand, and they're forcing bad software on people. So with AtTask, we've actually solved that problem with two products. One product is the product that can do all of the crazy earned value analysis and critical path analysis and tell you slack time between tasks and processes, and can help you optimize and turn dials in your company and ad nauseum. And that is effective for a certain core small group in a company, but then you've got everybody else who looks at that and says, yuck. So we actually went out in the field with our customers and spent time sitting with them, talking to them about what makes a great day at work. You might say, what does a great day at work have to do with project management software? Well, if we can help you have a great day at work, you're going to feel good about using the software that we sell. And so it's understanding, what is a career day for you? What are some of the issues that you're struggling with? And we found that there's a generation coming into the workplace now, and it's your generation. And you're very, very different from my generation, I'm sorry to say, because your generation is cooler. My generation is top down. My generation is guys that have come to work to have a 25-year career. They're okay being told what to do. They're okay sort of doing the 25-year march and getting their watch or pension or whatever and getting out. Your generation realizes that if your job can be commoditized, it will be. It'll be sent to somebody else who can do it cheaper than you can. Your generation realizes that the only reason you even go to work is to add value and to offer your creativity and your passion for solving problems. You want to solve problems. You don't want to be told the problem to solve and how to solve it, and then told to go do it and told when to go do it. You actually want to own that. You also communicate differently. I've seen you. You'll be sitting next to each other texting literally to the person like 2 seats down. And my son is even worse. He's 16 years old, and he can't plan. He won't call friends. He'll put up an event on Facebook and figure out what he's doing Friday night. He doesn't like to have meetings with people and talk to people the way that maybe I did when I was his age. And that's what's coming into the workforce now. So it's driving a whole kind of new dynamic, which is what's behind the social software that we've seen from a consumer standpoint. Facebook, Twitter, those are all changing the dynamic with how consumers are interacting with each other and with news and with events and things going on around them. We'll bring that into the workforce now, and it's the same dynamic. You want to offer creativity. You want to be in control of what you do. You want recognition for it. If you can't get that, you'll just go somewhere else or go back home and live with your parents some more. I don't know. But this dynamic is changing what software will do in the workplace. So what AtTask is onto right now and will be focused on for the next several years is actually addressing that dynamic in the workplace. This is our latest product that we just released, and you can see it's very different from a typical enterprise type product. You can get in and understand exactly what you're supposed to do. You can understand what's going on with the people you're working with and what their needs are. You can organize your work. You can be responsible for it. You can make commitments. You can actually tell the person who asked you to do something that you're not going to do it, or that you're going to do it at a different time, because that's reality. And if you need your schedule cleared so you can do something else right now, great. But the software, it's not this top-down dynamic anymore. And that's really important to us at AtTask. So we've had some great growth with that and some exciting things going on. And then for me personally, let's see here. Maybe my presentation quit, but that's okay. So for me as an entrepreneur and personally, it's led to some interesting opportunities and dynamics. And recently, I've pulled the ultimate in entrepreneurism. I hired a CEO and replaced myself. So now I'm not even CEO of my own company. I am the chairman of the board, and I don't have a day-to-day responsibility within the company other than guiding strategy. And now I'm very free to do other things, which I've enjoyed. I'm teaching a class here at BYU, and I've appreciated the invite to this lecture series as well. So that's a story, I guess, of AtTask, me in a nutshell. I'd be happy to. I know that we've got some Q&A coming up here, probably a couple minutes early on that, but that's okay. And want to make sure you guys have my email address as well in case you have any further questions afterward. And that's scottj@attask.com. That's ATTASK. So with that in mind, I'll just open up the floor to you guys if you have any questions. Over here.
You said you came up with a solution. One was to create a software to kind of component, kind of have everything in there. So, and at the same time, you created something that is you kind of know that this is what the customer wants it. So you just gave those two products to the customer. That was the solution. Actually, I didn't have that quite well.
Okay, so the question was about what was it, if I understood correctly, what was it that we saw in creating two solutions for the customer, and how did we go about understanding the customer's needs? Is that kind of your question? So, as a SaaS software vendor, we pay really close attention to how people use the software. I can tell you if you log in, what you've clicked on, and what you looked at, not the data per se, but the trends and just the interaction pattern. And we can understand very easily from a dashboard if you're getting it and finding value, and if you're not getting it and not finding value. And we really became concerned a couple years ago about what this trend is looking like as people looked at the traditional heavyweight project management software. This discipline was invented in the 50s. It's actually, from a software perspective, project management is the second oldest software in a category that you can find. The oldest is accounting. This stuff was invented by NASA. So it's been around for a while without a fundamental change. And we just observed the trends and went out and talked to people and asked them, what would make this so that it makes your workday better, has value to you personally, and focused on that problem.
What differentiates your product from some of the main competitors? Like, one of the places I work use Jira a lot, just some of the bigger competition like that.
Great. So the question, what differentiates AtTask between products such as Jira or other products on the market? And there literally are probably 1,500 to 2,000 products on the market. And they really fall into three categories. One is very, very simple. You can get all the way down to free. You can get, I mean, there are some decent ones that are on the market that are free, even glorified to-do lists online. There are products like Basecamp and Jira that are very simple. They're easy to understand. They cover some basics. So how does AtTask differentiate there? AtTask covers more of a full spectrum. While we have a product that is easy to understand and use, it can still answer tough business questions. I mean, that's the reason why I started the company to begin with. It was to answer the question of who's doing what, how much does it cost, how much more can we do, when does everything need to be done, how's it coming, and how do we capture our interaction with our customers in the same environment so that we can couple approvals and comments with the actual work that's going on. And simple products don't do that. And there are complex products that do that, but in a really clunky, old-school enterprise way that people hate to use. So what I would say is AtTask is the company or the product that can offer robust business intelligence in an easy-to-use package. Great question. If you couldn't hear that, it was we're a business-to-business customer. Why in the heck do we have billboards on I-15? What's that? What's the strategy behind that? And I have to say, I wish I had done billboards a lot sooner. We put our first billboard up, I think, in 2010. And so, like, nobody in Utah County knew who AtTask was. And everybody else, I mean, I would go to places. I've been on, planes and trains with people clear across the country and around the world that knew who AtTask was, and yet my next-door neighbor doesn't even know who AtTask is. So what we found is from a recruiting standpoint, we try and hire people. Well, the software developers, they're all married, and a lot of them are really risk-averse. And they go home and they say, hey, there's this company AtTask I'm looking at, and the wife says, oh, no, you don't. You're going to stay at Symantec or Novell or Omniture or wherever it is that's Adobe that's stable and secure and can take care of us, because I've never heard of them. And that became actually a real factor for us. So what happens is you put up billboards, and billboards aren't that expensive. It's about $1,500 a month per billboard. Put up a couple of billboards, and all of a sudden all your neighbors and everyone you know is coming up saying, you guys are doing awesome. I see you everywhere. It's like payroll is, $2 million a month, and a billboard is $1,500 a month. And people are coming up and telling you you're doing awesome because you put a billboard up. So it has this really kind of heavyweight effect, at least on who people think you are locally here. And that's the whole strategy, is just get that confidence here locally that AtTask is a legitimate company. That's something that you can safely bank on and find a challenging career in.